Hello and welcome to the Holiday Park People podcast. My name's Matt and this is Stacey.
And we're the Holiday Park People. Today we are absolutely delighted to be joined by Vanessa from DF Capital. So welcome.
No, thank you for having us.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here. So this is our second guest episode. So
And our first one of 26.
Yeah, and our first one of 2026. So yeah, the feedback following the previous guest episode was amazing, and we're delighted to have a brilliant lineup of guests for 2026. So yeah, huge thanks to Vanessa for being here today, and we've got loads of interesting stuff to talk about. Obviously the whole sort of consumer finance piece is, there's a bit to talk about there, and alongside we are very lucky to have DF Capital as part of our network, and we've talked about our network a lot in terms of us wanting to surround ourselves with sort of the best and the best of the best in the sector, and businesses that support parks in terms of growth and strategy. And holiday home sales is perfect.
And almost all of our partners actually work with DF indirectly or directly, either presently or past. So I think it feels like a great opportunity to talk about finance.
Yeah.
So Vanessa, thank you again for coming. I think a great place to start would be just to understand a little bit about you, a little bit about DF, and a little bit about what DF does for operators out there.
Yeah, no problem. So thank you for having me. So first of all, DF Capital, so Distribution Finance Capital, got established in 2016, and we got our banking licence in 2020. And predominantly, we've always offered inventory finance, so funding solutions, business to business, and my sector is in the leisure industry, so whether that's tours, motorhomes, obviously here today to talk about the holiday home and lodge space. And we offer financial solutions to support parks with whether it's park development, whether it's funding for the actual units. Obviously you just mentioned there the consumer finance, which we've called different, so it's DFRNT. Which is taking off at great guns, and we're having real success with that, so we can talk about that. But really, I think probably the main part of the role for me is looking after the manufacturers that are in the north, in that holiday home and lodge space. So to support them with production, increasing sales, to allow product to get out into the distributor network, the park network, and offer those parks a way of displaying and selling units for a free period, because that's supported by the manufacturer, and increase sales and increase units to hire as well.
Yeah, because there's both sides to it, isn't there? You support with fleet or hire and holiday home sales, don't you? So,
yeah. So this industry's gone through a complete 180 in terms of where we were at post-COVID with sales. The market, as we all know, has struggled in the last 18 months, 2 years, and hire seems to be the sweet spot at the minute. And I think the parks are generating an income rather than a sales unit potentially sat there. And we've seen an increase in that need to be able to be flexible and offer that higher fleet solution.
Yeah. It's just really great, isn't it? Because I think, like you say, we've all experienced firsthand sort of, I think particularly holiday park operators maybe struggling a little bit with cash flow. It's not that their business is necessarily performing poorly, but struggling a little bit with that cash flow, and the sector's certainly experienced some overstocking issues as a bit of a hangover from COVID, hasn't it? But for the park operators that haven't experienced that, the uncertainty in the market, I guess, makes it difficult to commit to orders for either fleet or for holiday home sales. So I think the solution must just feel like the weight of the world is lifted for them in terms of I've got an option. I can have stock to either rent out for holidays or something to show customers if they're interested in buying without that sort of initial commitment of I need to pay for it all today. So
yeah, and I think I think parks are investing. They're doing development work. They're building electric charging points, or they're building solar farms as an example. Both of which we can look to fund, by the way.
Okay,
but,
get that in there.
Let's get that in there. But their cash flow may well be tied up in that development piece, and our solution allows them to have units on park, which sometimes I hear I'm kind of investing my cash flow into the business. I'm going to wait to buy a unit. Actually, this kind of works and provides that solution for the park operator.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things within that. I mean, we talk a lot about, parks that, are lucky enough or fortunate enough to have the ability of, or have a model that supports ownership and supports holidays, which means that depending on which way the tide's going in terms of sales is booming or holidays is booming, they've always got that flexibility to move one to the other. And I guess, even if the market was to come back overnight in holiday home sales, they've also got them units then that they can look to sell on and as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and I think that's been key. So our facilities are two very much, or two separate facilities. It's a sales facility and it's a hire facility. But I think the great thing about DF is that we're flexible and we're quick to react to market conditions. And what that allows us to do is if a unit has sat on a park, which again, with current climate, for a period of a few months, if that unit hasn't sold and we're going into the winter period, parks might be thinking, my goodness, what am I going to do? I've got a unit sat here that eventually is going to need paying for. Yeah. But we're coming to the end of the season, customers aren't coming onto park to look at units. We can then potentially flick that unit across to our hire fleet. Okay, so that is then giving, because our hire fleet facility is a 4-year facility. So that's giving that customer a 5-year solution. And then, like you say, at the end of that hire fleet term, they've got a unit that's defleeted to then sell as a second-hand unit, which, that seems to be a little sweet spot and for the parks at the minute.
Is it an option, I don't know, maybe you've got, 10 fleet on a park and that they're all through sort of DF Capital, and is there an option midterm to, if you had an owner that expressed a potential owner that expressed an interest within that particular unit, could you sell that then? And
you can settle it and
just settle
it. You can settle the unit, and the great thing with us is that there is no penalty charge for that. Obviously, being able to do that is subject to our credit approval, but that seems to have been where we've supported and helped that park network in the last 18 months, just having that flexibility.
That's really yes. I didn't know that actually. It's really cool that, because it is, I think, the market is it is a bit unpredictable at times, and I think having that flexibility to be able to continue trading, and for those operators that are a bit dynamic and think on their feet, then it's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And I think as well for the manufacturers, we've spoken about this a little bit recently, haven't we? But some of the manufacturers are maybe not feeling the benefit that the rest of the market is right now, and we need to look after the manufacturers, don't we? The industry needs that. We need them. But I think that the support that you can provide park operators helps stimulate the market, doesn't it? So, and it's important for everyone, not just for park operators and customers, but also for the manufacturers.
It's really important, it's
there's only a few, isn't there? We've got to look after them.
There is only a few, and we've got great relationships with the majority of the manufacturers, and the majority fall in the north, so fall under my umbrella. And we're kind of growing strength to strength with these manufacturers, and it's cash flow back into their business as well that keeps them paying wages, keeps them paying for supplies, and keeps them manufacturing. And it's a key part of their business now. So I mean, those relationships are great.
And it's just, well, we always talk about relationships, don't we? It's the industry's founded on brilliant relationships and good partnerships. And
definitely.
It's what makes it so brilliant for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think. Do you still see parks out there that maybe have a strict ownership model without much stock to sell or any units to show? Do you still, because we still see that a fair bit out there?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's ever evolving. You know, there's more and more parks being made aware about DF that can take stock.
Yeah.
You know, and that's down to the manufacturers driving DF and promoting DF when they're out and about.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we support now Harper, which we did at the recent conference, and we're at most of the trade shows. So I think bit by bit and word of mouth, our name is out there, and we do deal with an awful lot of parks. I think it's just being able to have those open conversations to explain how it works and the benefits, and that's done by our field-based account management team. And you know, and it's not just about having product on park. It's about, you know, can we help fund park development? Yeah. Can we offer the consumer the finance if the park's regulated and FCA approved to be able to do that? And it's about being able to be a one-stop shop for that park, to take the unit from a sales point of view, or being able to have, you know, fund a showground, for example, then fund the unit and then sell that holiday home onto the end user. You're providing that complete solution.
It's like an end-to-end strategy, isn't it?
Yeah,
In terms
definitely.
and has that been the goal of DF Capital for quite some time?
I mean, the leisure industry has kind of been our number one, if you like, you know. But part of the business's strategy, you know, we kind of do marine, we do bikes, we do cars, we do vans, we do agriculture, plant and machinery. So, you know, we have a savings team, but more recently we've added our structured finance team, which do the park development and asset finance, invoice finance, and that's a dedicated team. And then we launched the consumer finance at the NEC in October. And that's taken really well in the holiday home space, to be fair. So the parks see the benefit in that. But at the moment, we need the parks to be fully FCA approved.
Of course.
We are working on a direct-to-consumer model, but we'll just watch this space for that.
So, Matt, we've spoken about the fact that this year seems to be getting off to a good start, particularly for holiday home sales. Now, we always try and be pragmatic and, you know, not get too carried away. And but generally, it feels like there's a bit of optimism in the air. We've certainly seen that at, you know, recent conferences. All of the park operators we were speaking to felt quite positive and optimistic about the year ahead. Are you seeing that, Vanessa, when you're speaking to people? Like, what kind of conversations are you having with?
Yeah, I think, I mean, last year felt a lot better than 2024. And I think everyone's talking about the conveyor belt beginning to move, or green shoots starting to appear, and it does feel it does feel like that. And I think I said it before. Higher people being able to move across and have a higher fleet or update the higher fleet. That feels where the current market is. There's a lot of parks investing. There's a lot of parks doing development work. You know, they're carrying on, and it's best foot forward. Now, this is only my interpretation, but the bit that worries me about this industry is the noise that I'm hearing is that it's a lot of customers upgrading that are already on park, that are maybe just upgrading to a newer unit, and it's how we get that new footfall of traffic through the door. And I mean, I harp on about this all the time, but I've grown up in the leisure industry. I'm a big advocate for leisure, having had a holiday home, a tourer, and now a motorhome. So I'm kind of like the guru of leisure in our team. But for me, you know, I grew up on a caravan park up in the lakes, from a holiday point of view, in my grandma's caravan, and then, you know, I then went on and bought my own holiday home with family members, and I then went into touring, and the kind of the bit that worries me is that if this younger generation aren't coming through, what happens when they get to the point where they either go off and buy a holiday home or buy a motorhome?
Yeah.
And I think, like you said before, you know, we've gone through this period after COVID that's been really difficult, probably the most difficult period that the industry's ever had. And it's how we get new people into this holiday home industry, whether we go down the fractional ownership route, whether we go down, you know, being able to come up with some kind of finance agreement that is multifamily. You know, I mean, that's just my idea. This isn't a bank idea. But and I think as well, because of electric cars and because of younger people's driving licences, the tourer market is unfortunately seeing a slight decline, and those people aren't going on to parks to use the facilities on a park. So it's how we get that new footfall. And it's a golden nugget question, how do we do it? But that for me feels like how we need to be focusing to drive that new business.
Feels a lot like marketing, that.
Well, it does, and we've spoken about this, haven't we, loads of times. I think the park operators that are evolving. So I think there are sort of there's a core customer base in our sector that love the typical holiday home ownership experience or the typical holiday experience, and but you know, those people won't be around forever. You're right, you know, they won't. And actually, I think holiday park experiences have always been generational and a bit nostalgic, and you know, we see that every day. And do the younger generation find caravans cool? Probably not. You know, not as much as we did when, you know, when we were younger and you go to Granny and Granddad's caravan or whatever. You know, it's not the same now, is it? No. So I think you're right. How do we demonstrate the experience of holiday parks to a younger audience that appeals to them, that's relevant for today or relevant for the future, because parks are evolving so much, aren't they? Yeah. And I think those forward-thinking operators that are considering new consumers for today and the consumer of the future, you know, they're on the money. And there's so much evolution taking place in terms of product, in terms of experience, in terms of park standards. And I think that's how it maybe just doesn't feel for us. I think that's moving quick enough. You know, I think we maybe need to just push that on a bit.
We talk about green shoots in terms of, you know, whether the general industry is performing a bit better than last year, but I think we are also seeing green shoots in that most important word, which is around evolution. Yeah. We are seeing a product evolve, and we're seeing not just the product but the parks evolve. Now, as you said, could that happen quicker? I think those that are spearheading that, we've just seen a great place just opened down in Cornwall. They're almost creating a park within a park, you know, which is really exclusive. At the moment, that is a strictly sort of holidays evolution, but you could easily see how that could evolve into ownership and things like that. So I think and there's so much more choice available today, right? I mean, you know, you've got brands coming out of nowhere with relatively small volumes of units, but able to make a real great experience from it. You know, Secret Garden, glamping, etc. You know, real brands that are just coming out of nowhere, and that, you know, we're seeing that you can't get a holiday with them if you tried. You know, and I think that's where it's more Instagrammable. We use that a lot, and that's where I think it's two things, isn't it? It's about park and it's about product evolution. Yeah, definitely. And you know, one sort of has to move at the pace of the other, because if the parks haven't got the appetite to evolve, the product can't really evolve to suit the park's requirements.
But they have to run in parallel, don't they? Yeah. Because actually there are, you know, hundreds of thousands of customers today that love the holiday park experiences. They don't want swings on their deck and saunas in their garden, and they're not bothered. They just want to go away and have a lovely time. So it's a real fine balance in
that's why it's sort of three things, not two, isn't it? You've got your customer, who is sort of feels like they're moving at a pace that's faster than the product or the park. So, you know, maybe these two elements have just got to speed up a little bit. But, you know, seeing signs of, you know, parks within parks and evolution on parks that are being a bit brave with the product choice now, and you know, asking for different things from.
And I think that's it. You know, I mean, it's like you said, the market's changing. You know, people want the extra bits and pieces and the bells and whistles now. You know, the standard holiday home or lodge probably isn't enough for the younger generation. The expectations and what they require are so much greater, and the fact that there is that great choice of product and via the great choice of manufacturers allows the parks to be able to do that. So,
what manufacturers are doing more holiday homes now is just incredible, isn't it? I mean, we're on record for talking about it, but it's just amazing when you go into a caravan or a lodge and you're like, how did you achieve this?
Yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. So in terms of your role at DF Capital, then, so how long have you been at DF?
3.5 years, but in the industry overall, gosh, 30 years, something like that. Yeah,
Right,
so
Okay, right. What did you do before DF?
So I started back in the leisure industry with a company called Capital Bank, which was Bank of Scotland, and I was there 15 years, and then Lloyds Banking Group bought Bank of Scotland, and then jumped across to, so that was all holiday homes and tourism motorhomes. The only thing coming back into it now is it's the next generation, which makes me feel very old. But then I jumped across to the car finance side, and got the opportunity to jump back into leisure. And as I've already said, I kind of love this industry. I love the people. It's such a lovely industry. The people are great, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So quite a long time in this industry. So. It was just like stepping back to old relationships, really.
Wherever, it's very rare, isn't it, that you meet someone in the industry that's had any level of, you know, success, I guess, that hasn't been in it for a long time, isn't it? And I think it's what makes it so great, because you know it's relatively small in that respect, and you never leave it. Like most people never leave it, do they?
No. And I think just working with DF. You know, it really is a breath of fresh air. They're evolving. They're young. They want to grow. We adapt so quick.
Right.
You know, we're aware of market conditions, and we come up with clever ways of kind of providing solutions and supporting the industry. Yeah. You know, it's not just about there's a finance offering. Go out and use it. It's about being aware of what's going on, and being able to flex according with it. You know, so it's a great place to be.
And I get what you say around breath of fresh air. Now, you know, I'm not from the banking world, and I, you know, probably ask for forgiveness up front in terms of my impression of the banking world is that if change needs to happen, it could be quite slow, progressive.
Yeah.
You know, a bit like turning an oil tanker around.
Yeah.
But my experience with DF, who interactions with you in previous business and what have you, is I just feel like you're always like solution focused. Like, how can we just find a solution to help you get through this?
Yeah, definitely. And it's almost
I don't feel like you're talking to a bank.
No, and I'm constantly learning. I was out the other day with my boss, and we were coming up with a solution for a customer, and he came up with an idea that I'd never even thought of, heard of, and actually it's in there now. It's stored away, but so it's just having those open and frank conversations and being able to come up with that solution. Yeah. And the fact now we've got the other bits to the business, it's just great. It really is.
No, it's that sort of bit of energy that, you know,
it is.
The rest of the sector, like you say, there can be, and it was the same when we were talking to Gareth, actually, wasn't it? He was saying, you know, there's this stigma around insurance, and it can be a little bit the same with banking, can't it? There can be a bit of a stigma that it's slow and it's you know, and there's a lot of red tape, but yeah, it's great that you've got a bit of energy and your finger on the pulse in terms of actually what does the sector need, what do operators need, what do consumers need, what does the sector need, and
and also it's like, you know, it's like you say there with Gareth, when you're selling something that's intangible, you know, you're selling money, you're selling insurance, it's kind of hard to explain and describe the journey. If you're selling a lodge or a holiday home, it's physical, it's there, you can look at it, and it's beautiful. but you're kind of just selling money.
So
I think sometimes parks probably don't understand what we offer. Once we get in front of them and when we kind of explain it and we go into the detail, they're a lot more on board. But it's having that opportunity to explain how it works, what the benefit is, and how it can provide the solution.
Do you find the stigma sometimes of the banking or corporate world is the thing that stops those park owners or whatever reaching out in the first place?
Yeah, and I think it's market conditions as well. There's a bit of nervousness about, because no one's got the crystal ball. Nobody knows after the last, 18 months, 2 years, where, what's going to happen ahead of the season. So I think there's still a little bit of nervousness.
So just on that point then, so if there's an operator out there that hasn't heard of DF Capital before or doesn't understand how it works, if you're saying that because there will be operators that don't understand the process and maybe feel a bit nervous about getting in touch. So could you just maybe give us and them a bit of an overview of what that process looks like?
Yeah,
and what it involves?
And again, going back to speed and service, we are really quite quick on these on our credit decisions. So sometimes we'll get leads from the manufacturers. Sometimes we'll get leads driven via the website. Hopefully, we'll get some customers that now want to come to us, via yourselves. But we've got a team of field-based account managers that will go out, meet with the park, explain how it works, explain our different products, our different offerings, and probably an hour and a half. Get some pictures of the park. Again, we've got to paint that picture to our credit team. And then we ask for a few bits of paperwork, so financials, the director's details, so anti-money laundering forms. And then we go away, we put a deal into our credit team, generally gets turned around within a few days. And then we're at the document stage, again, all e-sign. So generally start to finish, if we had all the information, we can turn things around in a couple of weeks, which then allows them to kind of buy the unit and get it funded via ourselves.
That feels really quick.
It is.
Yeah.
Is that quick even in the banking world? I mean, is that...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if it's more complex, it can take a little bit longer because we might need some more information. But yeah, we're I think as a business, we're all dedicated to kind of driving that service and exceeding customer expectations, and I truly believe that's what we do. So,
because I suppose if you need that support and you need that service, that time lapse between when I first make that phone call to being assessed for credit, I think is probably quite painful. I guess you're sort of in limbo land, aren't you? In terms of, you've made a decision. I've met with you. We've done some paperwork, and you've gone off. You got the thing, and then I'm as the operator, almost desperate for you to come back quite quickly at that point.
Yeah. No, and we and I think that's the great thing. Probably if there's a unit available at the manufacturer, we can pretty much have it on park within 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really cool. Could you tell us a little bit just about what does your typical day look like, or your typical week? Do you spend a lot of time on the road?
Yeah. So my role is northern. I look after, as I said right at the beginning, I kind of support the manufacturers, predominantly in Hull, and I look after the key accounts in that fall into this area. And that's across the holiday home, lodge, tourer and motorhome space. Yeah.
It's quite a big job, isn't it? It's a big old rock. And all of North.
Yeah.
So where is the North defined
Well,
as?
last year it was Scotland and Ireland, but we've historically we had a field-based team that went out and brought customers to us. And that team has now come into our team and into our other team internally. So we've now got Chris that's joined us, again, been with us for 3.5-4 years, loads of experience in this space. And he's now joined and covering Northern Ireland and Scotland. And then we've got a guy in the Midlands Central area. And then we've got Mark, who covers the Southwest, again, he's come from our field-based team, same amount of time. We're all kind of 3.5, 4 years. And then Sarah, she manages the field-based team as well as managing the southern manufacturers and European manufacturers.
Right.
And then you've got Ian, who heads the business up, who's ex-Black Horse with, you'll hate me for saying this, probably 100 years experience. But, you know, he is just the face of leisure. You know, everywhere you go, you can't turn around without somebody bumping into him that knows him. And then you've got an office-based team as well. So we've got a team of 5 internal account managers to kind of give support to the field team, but also to give support to our customers and manufacturers. So yeah, it's a big old team.
So how much time in a typical week would you spend out on the road versus in the offices?
So generally, well, I'm home-based, so 3 days out on the road, generally, and then a couple of days at home. But, you know, with no week's the same, you know. So next week, obviously, we've got the shows.
Yeah.
Last week we had the shows, so every week's different.
No, we get that.
Yeah.
We've done a fair bit of travelling ourselves this last few weeks.
Yeah. And where is home?
The lakes.
Lakes.
Yeah.
Lovely. And where are you from?
Rochdale.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we had a holiday home, as I said earlier, up in the lakes, and it just felt the right place to be.
Lovely.
So yeah.
And you visited that as a child?
Yeah. I was potty trained up there.
Oh, it's so lovely, isn't it? It's so lovely. I just think that, the nostalgic pieces. But I suppose it's quite interesting, actually, if we just pick up on the point of, you said you had a holiday home and then a motorhome and then a tourer, and lots of people do it the other way around. The other way around.
Yeah. We sold the holiday home when we moved up because it was 10 minutes down the road, and then we bought the tourer. But we just wanted something that was a little bit easier just to jump in at the weekend because the tourer's in storage. So we just wanted to park it on the drive and just go. So and we'll let you know how that goes because I haven't picked it up yet, so I'll let you know how that goes.
The question everyone's probably wondering is, did you get a good deal on the finance?
That'd be telling.
And it would be interesting for you to let us know where you go as well, because obviously, you live in such a beautiful part of the country. Most people go to the lakes, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So you'll have to.
And when you sat on that M5 going to Cornwall with a 8 foot wide tourer, you're thinking, why am I doing this? Why didn't I stay in the lakes and enjoy what's on your doorstep?
I know you don't get the weather though, do you?
No.
Obviously, out and about on the road, speaking to parks. What do you think are the biggest challenges that parks are maybe seeing at the moment, or where are they looking to sort of invest the most? Is it developments? Is it stock? Is it hire fleet?
Probably all of those, but I think I'm hearing quite a bit of noise at the moment about consumer confidence. And that feels to be dominating the parks' decisioning. And I think, whether or not that's because sales are down as a result of the noise around consumer confidence, just because of all the things that are going on at the moment with some of these companies. And also, I just think everyone's coming out of the traps, but cautiously. Yes. Very, very cautiously. They are wanting to come out. They are wanting to kind of crack on now. I think we've all had it really hard for way too long.
We're feeling that as well.
For sure.
I think if I reflect on the start of last year versus this year, and maybe it's a year on in terms of our journey, but I mean just this week alone, I mean we've had half a dozen park owners contact us to look into how we might be able to support them with holidays or with sales, and it's almost like they've got to this point. They're like, no, and we need to push on now. If we wait for everything to happen to us, or or for us, it'll happen to us. So they're just sort of really keen to sort of you've almost made a decision in their mind. This year can be different. I just need to
I need to do something different.
Need to do something.
And I think last year, we spoke about. I think there has been occasions, and it's part of the reason that we set up our network and wanted to work with businesses like DF was we've both worked for larger businesses that we and with those businesses naturally comes a lot of contacts, and so it's easy to access all of the businesses that are in the industry that are available. And what we found with small to medium-sized operators is that they know they need help, or they know they need support, but they're not sure where to turn. They're not sure where to turn, and actually a lot of these businesses don't understand the amount of support that's available for them, and that was the reason that we wanted to create the network. That's an open place where if Park, you mentioned before about sort of a one-stop shop, but that's what we wanted to try and create with it. So it's not behind any memberships or barriers or whatever. It's just available on our website that, if operators need something, there's a place that they can go. And we try and offer sort of a really rounded selection of businesses that go way beyond the services that we can offer. And I think towards the back end of last year, we noticed an increase in the number of businesses reaching out to us because they didn't achieve the results that they wanted to last year. They've recognised that they need to do something different if they want to get a different outcome this year. Burying your head in the sand or just crossing your fingers and hoping things might get a bit better isn't going to work. It's not going to work. So yeah, as Matt says, we've definitely seen a noticeable uplift in the number of people saying, I need a bit of advice or support or marketing help or whatever it is, and we hope that it'll be the same for you guys.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we've got off to a great start. I mean, January for us was phenomenal, which kind of mirrored what you said right at the beginning. It feels like it's turning. So fingers crossed for a good season.
Yeah,
and I'm really keen to hear a bit more about this consumer finance different. In terms of, so where is it now, and what's the sort of long-term plan for it? So if you can tell me.
Yeah. So so we launched our consumer finance back in October from a standing start, and we've built systems. We don't have any historic issues. Okay. So it's got off to a flying start, and because of the limited number of lenders in the holiday home and lodge space. We've signed up quite a number of parks. We have a soft search facility. Right. So we don't put a footprint on the customer's credit profile. Right. And we have a rate for risk model, which again is completely FCA compliant. So historically, and I'll step away from leisure and used cars as an example, and then I'm not treading on anyone's toes. If you were a customer going to buy a car, you might get a manufacturer finance offer, but if your credit profile didn't support that offering, then the car dealership might have to go to a brokerage to get the best deal. The fact that we can do a rate for risk model, so you've got customers or various customers' credit profiles, it negates the need of that brokerage. Right. So we're kind of again one-stop shop. Yeah.
And is there a minimum deposit criteria?
10%. 10%. And we can also fund used units. The whole journey is e-sign. So again, making it seamless for the customer. They can sit at home, have a coffee, and read through the T's and C's. And
if I'm an operator, and is that done on a portal? Do I?
Yeah, it's all done on a portal. It's all done on a portal. So pretty much.
So I could do a soft search. So I'm with a customer. We'd get a proposal form. We could get a soft search done, and that will give an indicative.
Exactly.
It'll give you an indicative. Not guaranteed at that stage.
It'll give you an indicative APR. We actually underwrite the customer. We don't necessarily underwrite the unit.
I see, right.
So it's more on customer affordability. Yeah. And we've got just all the systems, all the bells and whistles that allow us to give 80% automation. We've got a team in the office that are there at the moment 6 days a week to provide
there's so few finance providers in that space now, so that must be a huge welcome in terms of a product from DF right now. I mean,
and again, we've got to make sure that we're dealing with the right parks, they've got the right permissions
Of
through
course,
FCA.
yeah, of course, yeah.
But as I alluded to before, you know, we are working on a direct-to-consumer proposition, so we'll...
So that would enable all those that aren't FCA approved.
Yeah, there are going to be
yeah.
bits and pieces behind
Course,
the
the
scenes.
criteria still,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
of
you know that we're going to need, but
Yeah.
that's
Fantastic.
Yeah. And it is, and you know, and of course there's FCA regulation and you know, eligibility criteria and all of that. But for those for consumers that you know really want to own a holiday home, and whilst they can afford it, you know, they may not be able to afford the entire purchase, but it's a purchase that they want to make, and therefore it gives them the option and the choice on the basis that they can afford it to own a holiday home, which is a brilliant thing if it's an informed decision by them. So
yeah, definitely.
And that, what do you call that model that you said? The risk?
Rate for risk.
Rate for risk model. That must
Yeah.
be, for both consumer and operator, another massive benefit, because it means, because in the past you just get, if it didn't pass a certain criteria, this is my interpretation, and obviously I'm not a bank, but you know what used to happen is things would just get declined, as opposed to, you know, well, we could lend to you, it's at this rate, it's going to be roughly at this rate, or what have you. You know, it just gives people options and choice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, rather than a world where it's just a computer says no, or, you know.
And also in terms of the size of parks and businesses that you can support, it's not just groups, you work with independent parks.
No,
and
so, you know, I mean, I did a unit the other day for a small independent park operator. And it was one unit, I think it was about 27,000 on a small facility of 50,000. And then likewise, we can go all the way to the other end of the scale, you know, and offer millions. So yeah, it's vast, it's wide. There isn't one hat fits all.
Yeah. Is there one part of that sector that's growing the quickest here right now in terms of, I guess, groups sort of know you're there, always use the facility? My instinct tells me that it's probably the smaller or independent ones that are maybe reaching out a bit more than they used to right now. Is that accurate?
No, I think it's a blend.
Okay.
It's a blend, to be honest. And again, whether it's sales or hire, you know,
okay.
it's a real blend across the business.
And so, do you as in your role, do you do both? Do you do fleet? Yeah. It's quite a big job you got, isn't it? Yeah, everything just seems to come back to you, doesn't it? Yeah. That's fascinating.
That's where age goes against you, because everyone knows you. You're like, Vanessa.
You obviously love it though.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I love my job, love my customers, love the people I work with. Yeah, love everything about it.
Yeah, no, you can tell. Yeah. I think it's really nice, and I think in every interaction with you, you're always positive and supportive, and you can tell.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's a brilliant industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if there's park operators out there thinking, actually this could be us, and maybe we could benefit from having a conversation or looking into support. So what would be the next best step for them in terms of getting in touch?
And I think, you know, sometimes we can go and see parks 2 and 3 times before they get comfortable, and there isn't a limit, or, you know, it's not a case of us not being comfortable to keep on having those conversations. So, you know, please feel free to reach out. And I think speaking to other park operators, and Harper is great for that, you know, going to the regional meetings and the national conference. You kind of get that insight as to who's using us, why they see the benefits. And obviously, as things evolve and new products come out and services come out, we can update. But if anybody wants to get in contact, they can either do it via our website, if they've got a particular link with a manufacturer, they'll have our details, and likewise at the end of this conversation, our detail will be...
Yeah, we'll pop a link in.
We'll pop a link in,
so that people can get in touch.
But as you said earlier, you're also at the shows, so if they're venturing out to the shows in the coming weeks, they can come over and see you.
But it's just about having that first conversation, isn't it? Just, you know, tell me about it. And like you say, you know, we're like a broken record at times, but you know, we've said repeatedly, you know, if you're thinking about using a new supplier or anyone new in the industry in terms of a business, ask your peers and ask your manufacturers, and you know, we say that over and over again, and it's great that you would encourage that, because you know, speak to other customers and speak to your manufacturers, and it's really important that you make the right decisions.
And when you're talking about money, it's a big leap of faith.
Yes.
You know, it's a big commitment, and you know, because of the market conditions, people have been wary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So happy to keep having those conversations until parks are comfortable.
All right, so Vanessa, let me ask you this: what is different about DF than the other lenders that are out there?
So I think obviously you get to deal with me.
Of course.
No. No. I think we deal with the majority of the manufacturers in the industry and have great relationships with them. And I think the key bit for me that supported the industry in the last 18 months with the sales facility that we offer on the inventory finance is our facility is a 2-year facility. So the manufacturer may support putting that home onto the park for a 3-month free period, a 6-month free period, whatever that looks like from the manufacturer. But then they get the remaining term up to 2 years. And again, just because of the climate that we're coming out of, fingers crossed, having that flexibility for parks just to pay the interest element and a small capital payment.
So practically then, what does that actually look like? So if I go to a manufacturer and they offer me 6 months,
there's another 1.5 years. So that then becomes the responsibility of the park to take over paying the interest for that unit. And then at the end of the 2 years, generally the units are settled. They can extend again, but on the whole it's 2 years. Now, obviously from a manufacturer point of view, they would like it to go on the facility and kind of come off. But I think that flexibility of being able to give the parks that support to go into year 2. It's not ideal. Nobody wants to be paying for a unit in year 2, but we are where we are, and the climate is the climate. On the hire fleet, apart from the fact, again, I mentioned this at the beginning, was that for the right customer, we can move that unit from a sales facility if they then want to hire it out. Our hire fleet is a seasonalised payment offering. So if we just take 100,000 as an example, we take 20% deposit, so £20,000, and we take that on day one. And we fund that 80% over a 4-year period, but the payment is seasonalised. So 7 months of the year you're paying more, 5 months of the year when it's not being used you're paying less.
Which supports the park operator.
Which supports the usage.
Again, it's that when we talk about that finger on the pulse, understanding the industry, making it easy for operators. I didn't know that.
That's
There's another
thing.
It's another thing I didn't know.
And I think, you know, some parks may not want it, so we can adapt the product accordingly. You know, some parts might want 8 months high and 4 months less, but generally the product is 7 months we take more and 5 months we take less. And again, you know, if they're wanting to defleet, so they've got a decent second-hand unit to sell, as I said right at the beginning, there is no penalty. So again, another USP. So yeah, and it's that whole. Again, I've said it before and I keep saying it, but it's that whole understanding where the market's at and being able to adapt.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's not, I mean, yes, there is that understanding the market, but that's just understanding the industry, right? That, you know, seasonal payment, so it means that, you know, my cash flow I can work that through my cash flow. It just makes sense, doesn't it? You know, and it just shows how, you know, finger on the pulse, but it just shows how close you are to understanding the industry, whereas, you know, many suppliers cross into the world of this industry and, you know, don't get it, so don't create products that are really truly fit for purpose. Well, that just really is, isn't it?
But I think
that's fantastic.
But I think that certainly what I've seen since joining is that if we haven't got a solution, there's people that we can go to and they'll go, Blimey heck, that sounds brilliant. Right, how do we do that? Right, we'll come up with a solution, and we all collaborate, and we all sit round with the right people, and we come up with that, and that's great that we can do that.
Yeah, love it.
Really cool. Really cool.
So we've spoken at length. I honestly feel like I've learnt a bit today, and we've worked with DF Capital, and and I thought I had a very good understanding of products and services. But I have learnt a bit today, and I genuinely hope that if you're watching or listening along, so have you, and and if you have, then or
Phone
you're
will be red hot
interested, then
when this goes out.
yeah, I feel like you.
My word.
Yeah, reach out. But yeah, so we've spoken a lot about DF Capital, and thank you for that, because I've personally found it really helpful. But it'd be nice to just talk about you a little bit, and just get to know you a little bit better. And I think we always find with our podcasts that. We all talk about it over and over again. It's the people in the sector that make the difference, and I'm sure all of your clients and partners would say that the relationship with you is part of the reason they love working with DF Capital so much. I'm sure they would say that. So tell us a little bit about you. Obviously, you're from Rochdale.
From Rochdale, and I kind of so I stepped away from Rochdale and went to do a HND in hotel and catering in Blackpool, and hated the hours, hated the industry, hated being nice all the time, hated the pay. But what I did have was in between GCSEs and A-levels, I worked for a company called HFC Bank, which to the older generation, everyone will remember that HFC Bank funded ADT alarms, Kirby vacuum cleaners, and Colour Vision was the TV and video rental company.
Right.
And we funded consumer goods, really.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I'd catch the bus from school in between or after school, and I'd go and work there, and I'd be keen in finance proposals and paying deals out, and got that relationship with, Colour Vision used to have branches all across the Northwest.
I remember, I can see the brand in my head.
Yeah. And, we'd be like lending £200 for a TV or whatever. And it was just a great industry. And, but obviously A-levels took me down that path of hospitality. And I decided it wasn't for me. I stuck it out, got the qualification, but then I went to a company called what was Northwest Securities, which was Bank of Scotland.
Right.
We changed our name to Capital Bank and then Bank of Scotland Dealer Finance. But spent 15 years there, just doing the car finance, and then jumped across to leisure.
Okay.
And the rest is history. So
outside of tours, motorhomes, static holiday homes, what do you do in your spare time?
What do I do? I sleep.
Sleep, yeah. Well,
So,
you've already uncovered that you've got a pretty big job.
Yeah. So, what do I do? So I've got 2 children.
Okay.
The girls are 13 and 14.
Right.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So
I bet you they keep your hands full.
so I am taxi mum.
Yeah.
So they're at that age. The eldest one's got a little part-time job now, so taxi down to work, and then the younger one, she plays football, so that's Sundays taken care of.
Yeah.
And
It's hard, that, Vanessa, isn't it? Like, I can only imagine. I'm not a parent, but I can only imagine. As a successful businesswoman, career driven, spending time away from home, 2 teenage children. My gosh, I can only imagine how challenging that is, because there are nights when we get back and I'm like, I can't be bothered to cook my tea, and I can't be bothered to do a load of washing, and I just want to get in and take my shoes off and sit on the couch and not talk to anyone for 4 hours, and it's.
I like red wine.
Same.
I do like red wine.
Like a red.
Yeah, I do like a bit of red when I get in from work. But it's full on, and and it can be stressful at times, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And then we've got, so my mum lives with us as well.
Okay.
So she moved up from Rochdale with us, and we all so there's 3 generations, which can prove interesting, but without mum being with us, I couldn't do this job. So, she's a godsend.
Right.
And, she's just amazing, and she's my childcare. She is my go-to. She's my cook, my cleaner.
Amazing.
She's everything. So, and then my other half, he's out on the road as well. So he works for the RAC. So if you see any orange vans around
Okay, right.
this area,
Right.
that could be
Yeah.
could be him. And then we've got 2 border collies.
Lovely.
So yeah, you can't live in the lakes and not have a border collie.
you can't,
And I was the mad cat woman. I used to have 8 cats. I'm now down to 2. I'm winding that down.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Your
was.
house must be
It's mental.
Massive.
It's like yeah, it's like Noah's Ark. But yeah, no. So I'm a big animal fan.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to wind the cat situation down.
Yeah, well,
Just because I
so
want to
you've
go
gone
off
from 8 cats to 2 cats.
over years.
You haven't
killed
yeah.
them?
Yeah, no, not overnight. Yeah, yeah.
No.
You'll have the RSPCA on.
No. They're all just unfortunately died of old age. But yeah, so it's and what's really nice is that all my animals have come from an animal sanctuary back in Rochdale,
Right.
and our bank supports that industry.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, nice.
Our
Yeah.
bank supports that animal sanctuary, so we do team building events there as well.
Lovely.
So yeah, big shout out to Bleak Holt. So yeah, so just the 2 cats now, winding that down. So then when I do retire, me and the motorhome and the dogs and Mike
Yeah.
can
Go
go
away.
and the kids will hopefully be at uni. And
And where's your favourite place to go in the UK? Obviously, you live in the lakes, so you're blessed with the lakes.
Yeah,
but where
we've
do you
got-
like
well,
going?
we've got friends and family in Devon and Cornwall, so that's generally our summer
Okay.
go-to. Abroad, my go-to is Turkey.
Lovely.
Yeah,
I do a bit of Turkey in October.
Very nice.
But yeah, so the plan is to hopefully get the motorhome, travel around Europe, find somewhere I want to settle, and then buy a holiday home.
Right.
That's the plan into retirement.
Sounds like a good plan. that.
If things allow.
Oh, very
So,
good.
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
And before we let you go, what's your favourite thing about working in the holiday park sector?
The people. Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just great.
Anyone
It
in
doesn't
particular?
feel, yeah. It doesn't feel like you're working. It just feels like
Yeah.
you're there and you're part of the wider family and you're supporting and you're adding value. So yeah, I think that's the bit for me. The whole people thing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to come and
No,
see
you're
us.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Like I said, I think we've already said we've learnt a lot as well, and I hope the people at home or wherever you're listening to this podcast have learnt a huge amount around about what DF do and how they might be able to support you as operators out there. And we thank you very much.
Yes,
No, you're
it's been a pleasure having you. It
No,
really
you're welcome.
has.
Thank you.
And so if you want to find out just a little bit more about DF Capital and how they could support your business, we'll pop a link in the screaming. We'll pop a link in our channels, and please go and just have a look and look at the services they offer. And if you want to have a chat with Vanessa or a member of the team, then you can contact them directly, or similarly, you can contact us and we can make a connection. So please go and have a look and check out their services. And it's been nice. Thank you
Brilliant.
so
No,
much.
thank
Flown
you.
by. Flown by.
We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.